What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Snobs podcast. I am your host, Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob, and it is the last day of 2019. Yep, and Happy New Year to everybody. This is our New Year's episode. We're going to be going over a lot of some of my favorite things this year, and let's just keep it positive, keep it light, just go with some of the favorite things. In the wrestling podcast, we went with the best and the worst, and kind of brought me down a little bit. So I just want to go with the best, okay? Or not the best, but what I loved. So, with that being said, I want to go over some lists. Lists. Oh, yeah. So here we go. I'm going to start off with, I can't do a Watchmen review this week because Watchmen has ended, of course. That was my last podcast, last Scene Snobs podcast. I did that. So, unfortunately, I'm just going to have to go with my top TV shows to start for 2019. Now, I haven't put any of this list in an order. I would not be able to record this episode if I did that until March, because there's just so much stuff. Because I did my top 10 movies of 2019, my top 10 TV shows of 2019, and I did my top 25 of the decade. And the reason I did top 25, I wanted to do top 10, but there's just so much that deserved to be on this list and be mentioned. And there's so much that deserves to be mentioned, and I had to leave off. Like, it was a cutthroat thing. I was going through, and I'm like, do I really want to take this off? But yeah, this one deserves to be on the list more. So, now, don't hold me to everything. Like, this is what I think, and I would love to hear your lists too. So please, shout out or put it up on anything. So, like, if I'm on Instagram and I'm on Twitter at the Scene Snob, give me a follow. Mention me and give me your whole lists. I'd love to hear them. Or you can go on the Scene Snobs page on Facebook and give that a like and message me there, or comment on anything I do and give me your list. I would love to hear them. And then, of course, I'm on the YouTube channel, the Scene Snobs YouTube channel. Give us a like and subscribe for this video and subscribe for the channel, and comment and let me know. Like I said, I want to hear everything, and I want to know. I like to think about it, so I like to see, like, okay, why would you put this on the list over what I put on the list? Maybe it's a movie I didn't see, maybe it's one that slipped me by, and I just didn't think to put it on the list. Well, I would like to hear it, and then I'll definitely go out and see it. Or if I did see it, I'll explain why I didn't want to put it on the list. I might have to do that with some things, One, I can tell in my top 10 movies why one wasn't on the list for 2019. And I will get to that. I'm not going to do a full review, but I'm going to definitely talk about it and talk about why I didn't put it on the list. Now, with that being said, let's get started. So I have my notes here, so don't mind if I look down. I don't have everything memorized. But I have my top 10 TV shows for 2019. Again, no particular order. But I have The Boys, which is the Amazon show based on the graphic novels. They were a series of comics. I did buy them in graphic novel form, or trade, I should say. But The Boys stuck out to me because they kept the visceral feel of the books. It is a gritty comic book, and comic book series, I should say. It's over now, and you should check it out if you haven't. But if you are squeamish, I don't know that I would check out the TV series, but it is really good. They did a great job. Carl Urban does a fantastic job. I am happy to see that he's getting a TV show that goes past season 1. He deserves it. But yeah, The Boys is just, it's such a, like I said, it's gritty. That's the best way to describe it. It's something just not right about this show, but it's still done so well, and everybody does such a fantastic job in it. What's his name? Dennis Quaid's son, Jack Quaid, is the main character in it, and he does a fantastic job too. I didn't know that he was Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid's son, so that was a pleasant surprise to find out. And once I did, I'm like, yeah, I see both of them in him, like in his face. Like I see both of them. He's an amalgamation perfectly of both of them. So The Boys, this first one. What We Do in the Shadows. which was an FX series that came out based on the very popular movie by Taika Waititi, which is one of my favorite movies. I love it. It's actually, weirdly enough, not on my top movies of the decade list, but it is one of my favorites. If I did a favorites list, that would definitely be on there. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. And then check out this show, because it is a continuation off of the show. And the whole season is fantastic. It's funny as hell. That's as far as I'll go with cursing, don't worry. But it's so funny. Everybody in it is great. And you get a lot of cameos in the end that really make you giggle. It's just a fun little laugh, and to see so many stars come back and play characters, that are beloved, vampire characters that are beloved. So, What We Do in the Shadows, an FX series. I want to say The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone is not my favorite anthology series of the year, but it was really good. It was really good. And I am sticking to sort of a pattern of what I liked, starting with what I liked the least to the most in the top 10. That does not mean I didn't like the things. These are my top 10. But The Twilight Zone deserves to be on there. I'm so glad they brought it back, and Jordan Peele did a fantastic job. There's a lot of heavy-handedness in the episodes, but I mean, I would suppose that back then, the old show with Rod Serling had a lot of heavy-handedness too. Because just thinking about it and realizing the themes when you watch those old episodes, they don't hit you like they hit, I'm sure, kids who grew up in that era, like, be like, oh wow, okay, that's what that means, or something like that. So I think this series is probably just as heavy-handed as the original. We just don't get it because we're children in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and yeah. So, but it was pretty heavy-handed. I found it to be, but it was very good, well filmed. That last episode was very meta, but I love it. I almost love. If you do it right, I almost love any show that does a meta thing. Supernatural, every meta episode that they've had, and they've done a lot in 15 years, I have loved it. I love the whole series. I don't think it's ever really dropped for me. Like, I can go back and talk about Smallville, I can talk about other shows where it's kind of dropped when it's gone that long. Anything over 5-6 years, I think you start seeing drops in the shows, in the quality of the shows. Now with Supernatural, man, that's always maintained, and sad to see him go. But I digress. So Twilight Zone, that's on my list. Then I would go with Afterlife. This is a Ricky Gervais show. Such a touching show. And if you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix, and he plays a newspaper reporter. Just kind of does, it's a small town newspaper, and he kind of does fluff pieces. And he's a cynical kind of jerk, for lack of a better term, whose wife passed away of cancer, and she's the only person he ever really cared about. And just to see him, like, he's trying not to digress, and he watches a video she made for him before she passed away, kind of like, keep doing this, to kind of keep him going, because like he doesn't care, he just wants to kill himself. She's gone, he's got nothing to live for in his mind, but every day he's finding more and more to live for, and he's perfect. Ricky Gervais is perfect. Can't wait to see him host the Golden Globes, which I will be doing my predictions tonight, my picks tonight, I should say. But he's fantastic on the show. Everybody's fantastic on the show, especially him. And I really think, please go check out this show. So, Afterlife, Wu-Tang, an American Saga, a Hulu show. Oh man, I mean, Wu-Tang is probably top 3 favorite musical groups of all time. So when I had heard about this show, I was excited. I wanted to see, these guys are from Staten Island, and that's not too far from where I grew up. And so, like, you knew who Wu-Tang was growing up. Like, I remember my brother sat me down with his tape and just right there, 36 chambers, just blasting on our radio, and we loved it. Well, so we finally get to see kind of a backstory of how they all come together, and this is the first season, and it's a fantastic show. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's filled with great drama. All of the actors are fantastic, and they do an amazing job in it. So I definitely think that should be one that's checked out. That's definitely deserves to be in the top 10 of 2019. Good Omens. Good Omens was a lot of fun. Now, if you haven't read Good Omens, it's by Neil Gaiman. It's a fantastic series, and yeah, just go check it out. Read it, and then go to Amazon and watch it, because David Tennant and Michael Sheen do an amazing job. They carry that series. Well, everybody does an amazing job, but they really like Jack Whitehall's on the show too. I like him a lot. It's just a fantastic. It's an angel and a demon who've been best friends since the beginning of time. They'd want to stop the apocalypse. I mean, the Antichrist is here, and it's foretold that he will bring upon the apocalypse, and they want to stop it because they're enjoying living on Earth and being best friends. That's a very abridged version of what goes on, and it's fantastic, and I don't want to give away too much. Check it out, definitely. Creepshow. Creepshow was my favorite anthology series of 2019. It's so much fun. They brought back the feel, the vibe, everything. Greg Nicotero, who famous special effects makeup artist, he came back. He's the showrunner for it. It's on Shudder exclusively. So if you don't have Shudder, it's $5 a month. What are you doing? You are horror fans. Get out there, get it. Tell them I sent you. Don't use promo code SceneSnob, because that's not a thing. So with Joe Bob, with all the movies that they have, an original series, just go get Shudder. But that's my pitch. That's the end of my pitch. So, Creepshow, they bring back, it's, like I said, it's 1,000 series. Each episode has two stories to it. All different directors come in. They had a lot of pretty good name stars come back for it too. But it's just so much fun. Each story was just a lot of fun, and it matched well with the old Creepshow movie. And I love Creepshow 2 as well. So a lot of people kind of crap on that, and I think Creepshow 2 is fantastic. So I do love that they brought this back, and they did even the beginning episode, the first episode with the boy with his dad, and telling the story to it's Adrienne Barbeau, Tobin Bell, and Giancarlo Esposito are the older people of this town that he's telling the story about his dad to. Now I'm not gonna give it away, but it's called Gray Matter. You should definitely check it out. It's written by Stephen King. And Joe Hill wrote for the show and everything. It's really good. You should check it out, and it's got a very cool horror vibe to it. Let's see, what else do I have on my list? I suppose that's 8. So I'm so torn, because I don't know which one to make number 1, but I'm gonna go with Watchmen next, which was one of my favorite shows. It was so awesome. I mean, I love the Watchmen graphic novel. So to have a show that continues that and kind of takes it to a whole new level, and it was HBO who did it, so they didn't hold back on anything. It was awesome. It was fantastic to get this, and Jeremy Irons as Ozymandias, and Yahya Abdul Mateen too was amazing, and Regina King is just fantastic on the show. Just fantastic. She's the best part about the show, and there is a solid cast that goes right along with her, and I can go on for a while with everybody that's in it, and it's just, from beginning to end, had me mesmerized. And the music done by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, It's amazing. I want to go out and buy the. I don't know why I haven't. I need to. I want to go out and buy the soundtrack. It's beautiful. Um, so my number one, I guess, and it kind of this is my number one. I love that I just finished it, and you can go back and watch all my reviews on this show on the Scene Snob reviews on YouTube, or it's at scenesnobs.com. Go check it out. I have everything like kind of collected there, so you can check everything out. Is The Mandalorian. This is Star Wars. Jon Favreau came back with such a strong show, and it was beautiful, and everything, and like Easter eggs, they didn't smack you in the face, but you got what you wanted, and the things that you really wanted to see. And oh man, it was wonderful, just fantastic journey this entire season, and it leaves it open for awesomeness to come. And yeah, please go check out the show. It's on Disney Plus. So that's my top 10 TV shows of 2019. I will say this: I'm not going to do a review of it. I haven't watched The Witcher yet, so I have to watch The Witcher. So if there are changes to make to this, I will. The Witcher, For All Mankind, The Servant. Some of these are Apple TV shows, Apple Plus shows. So The Witcher's on Netflix. The Servant is on Apple TV Plus. What else is there? For All Mankind is on Apple TV Plus. I did watch The Morning Show. It doesn't make the list. It's all right though. I would check it out. And it's okay. It's pretty good. So those are new shows. And I want to watch C with what's his name? Aquaman. I'm gonna leave it at that for now. Khal Drago. So yeah, I want to watch those. So I didn't watch those. So there might be some changes, but I'm gonna keep to this list. This is my 2019 list. Going into 2020, excited. So let's go over my top 10 movies of 2019. Then I'll get into my Golden Globes picks. Again, this is not in any particular order. It's just kind of where I'm at with everything. And there are two that I want to explain why they're not on there. So I will say Rise of Skywalker did make it. I thought it was a beautiful end. Again, you can go watch my full review on the Scene Snobs reviews on the YouTube channel. Just go to scenesnobs.com, thescenesnobs.com, and you can check it out. The Rise of Skywalker. And again, I'm kind of doing this like least favorite to favorite in the top 10, but these are a top 10. So I have so many things X'd out that are on here that I wish were, and I might do honorable mentions for them. Just so if you guys haven't seen them, you should check them out. The Rise of Skywalker. Velvet Buzzsaw. Velvet Buzzsaw came out earlier this year, and it was a Netflix movie, and it was so good. I don't know that I was totally fair to it. I did a written review of it, and I don't remember, because I rewatched it to see how I felt. I remember liking it, but I don't know that I was 100% fair to it, because the ending was kind of like, But after rewatching it again, I feel I gave it a fair shake, and it deserved to be on my list. If you haven't seen it, Jake Gyllenhaal is so amazing in it. He's amazing in everything, though. And it's so weird to see him in that movie and how he looks, his look in that, and then see him in Spider-Man: Far From Home. And you're like, man, this guy changes his body like crazy. Velvet Buzzsaw, great movie, again on Netflix. Insanely talented cast, really good story about the art and like the supernatural element to it. Just really good. You can read my review. It's on scenesnobs.com as well, my older reviews page. Endgame. Avengers Endgame makes the list. It's such an epic movie, and I think I'd be doing a disservice to not have it on my top 10 list. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's Marvel, and it's not an art house piece, and this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, I get The Lighthouse, I get Midsummer, I get Joker, I get all this stuff. But Endgame being what it was and being as massive as it was and closing out a saga of movies over the course of 10 years, it absolutely deserves to be on the list. And anybody who thinks differently is joking themselves. It's a top 2019 list. Is it my favorite movie of all time? But no. But if you ask me what I think the top 10 movies of 2019 are, that's one of them. It absolutely is. And I'm not even just talking box office, because it's a really good movie and it's well acted. And, it just absolutely deserves to be on the list. Dr. Sleep. This is a later one. Man, this hit me hard. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed the book before I went to see it. And there's a lot of differences in the book versus the movie. But Ewan McGregor did a fantastic job as an older Danny Torrance. And just kind of how he's dealing with life with The Shining and it just... I have a review of it, and it's actually my first ever Scene Snob Reviews video. And that's up there, and you can check that out on the scenesnobs.com as well. So go check out my review, and I get really in depth with it. But I think it deserves to be on the list. And Mike Flanagan, just epic scale of beauty. Like, I don't think he lives up to what Stanley Kubrick did with The Shining and every movie he's ever done, but he's damn close. And I think if he had heard that right now, he would understand that that's a compliment. John Wick 3. John Wick 3, Parabellum, was a very good movie. And I'm anxious for 4. Like, get me there. This saga has not gotten tired. I know a lot of people think it might have. I've talked to a few people who think, oh, it's just the same movie over and over again. It is not. It is a continuation. And anybody who's seen 2 should not say that it's the same movie over and over again. And it's just perfect action. And Keanu Reeves is fantastic. And who doesn't love Keanu Reeves? I mean, come on. So we have John Wick. Rocket Man. Rocket Man is definitely on this for me. Rocket Man is what should have come out first, because then the Queen movie would have been good. They would have watched it and said, oh, that's how you make a musical biopic. Queen could have been so good. It could have been, the Queen movie Bohemian Rhapsody, I should say, it could have been so good. And it could have been on the level of what Rocket Man was. Rocket Man took Elton John's music and just made this beautiful opera, like on the level of Across the Universe, or it's just Tommy the Who, like so much, Rocky Horror Picture Show, like it's just such a great movie. And if you haven't seen it, and especially if you're a fan of Elton John, go see it. And Taron Egerton is just fantastic in that movie. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Us absolutely deserves to be on this list. Us was a fantastic directorial follow-up to Get Out, which is amazing. It's just so creepy. I still I don't want to look out the window. I never want to look out the window at night in my driveway. There's just such creepy shot with the 4 of them standing there, and then they scatter. Oh, if you have not seen Us and you are a horror fan, you are doing yourself a disservice. Go see Us. Lupita Nyong'o. I mean, they are all fantastic. Do not get me wrong. Everybody in that movie was fantastic. Winston Duke was, oh my God. I actually said this, and I'm putting this on camera, so don't steal it. Or steal it, yeah. I mean, take it. Just give me some credit, studios. Remake Mr. Mom with Winston Duke. I don't know why. I think he would be a fantastic... I think if they remade Mr. Mom, you should only get Winston Duke to do it. I think he could pull it off perfectly. He just seems like he could be that kind of like deer in the headlights dad who is now stay at home and has to figure it all out. He's such a talented actor, but I think he could pull off a comedy role like that, and I'd be excited to see it. So, if anybody knows anybody and sees this, send it to the studios and just give me credit, please. That's all I ask. Dolomite is my name, which I'm hoping Eddie Murphy wins for this. There's some. I've talked about this too on Scene Snobs podcast. I did a review of it. I guess 3 or 4 weeks ago. Man, this is a fantastic movie, and everybody does fantastic in it. But just to see him play this, like, I don't want to say desperate, but like he just has a one-track mind, and that's who I'm going to become, and I know I'm destined for this, and he goes out there and he does it, but he doesn't lose his humility. There's no hubris there. He's just out to do the work and make it happen, and I love it. This is a movie filmmaker, or filmmakers in general, but especially filmmakers that are coming up, maybe student filmmakers or just getting into the business or just going out and shooting, need to watch, because they need to understand what type of filmmaker you need to be. You need to kick the ego to the door. Hubris has no room in this. Work, collaborate with people, take, if not advice, opinion, and trust the people you're working with. I've always said that in my filmmaking days. When I was producing, I'm not the best editor, so I go out and I get the best editor I can to come in and do it, and I trust them to do it. And they, everybody I've ever worked with has delivered. When I would produce something, everybody delivered, and that's what you do. You trust, you collaborate, and I've talked about this before, and there's going to be more to talk about in the future. But I just watch this movie. It's this fantastic movie, and Eddie Murphy deserves the Golden Globe for it, and probably the Oscar. Honestly, that may be debatable because it's not like, okay, comedy and drama are split up, but yeah, he's such a great comeback. Did a great job in SNL. I love that Eddie Murphy's coming back, and I cannot wait to see him do stand-up again. That's just me, though. All right, so where am I at? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My final 2. All right, so I just want to make sure that I was sticking to my 10, because like I said, there were so many things that could have worked their way in, and I was saying to myself, like, well, should this be in there? Should this be in there? So yeah, I'm trying to stay tight to it. The Irishman was fantastic. It's long. I know it's long, but come on. So are all the Marvel movies. So are all the Star Wars movies. There's so many things that are long. Just stick with it, and it's just told beautifully. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't have its issues. I'm not saying problems. I don't think problems is the right word. It does have its issues. But should we hold it accountable for those issues? No. Like, it's still a fantastic movie, and it kept me gripped the entire time. Just through the performances alone. Pesci deserves, again, the Golden Globe, and probably the Oscar. I will say that, too. De Niro did a fantastic job. Al Pacino was great as Jimmy Hoffa. There's just so much to it, and it's a 4-hour epic, and Scorsese just is Scorsese at his best. And now, is it my favorite Scorsese movie? No, but it is a great Scorsese. It goes up there with the upper echelon of Scorsese movies. Number 1, and this is my favorite movie of 2019, so I saved it for the number 1 spot. Because, again, this is my top 10 list, so I can put whatever on there I want. And this is the best, in my opinion, coming out hot, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I will argue this. It is. Everything about it is fantastic. The dialogue, the shots. Oh, my God, he recreated 1969 Hollywood. And it was flawless. Tarantino is a genius, and he told multiple stories intertwined, and it just, the Jack Dalton character is played flawlessly by Leonardo DiCaprio. fantastic. He was amazing in that. Just to be like kind of a down. I don't want to say down and out. He's not down and out, but he's like a lower level. He's like his star is starting to dim in Hollywood, TV star, and he's just wants to be out there and back up, and it's just brilliant. Brad Pitt was fantastic in it. Now, was Brad Pitt flawless? No, he was not, but he was fantastic, and he played a great role. And he played a great role for him. See, whereas you can stick Leonardo DiCaprio, I think, in any role, and he will excel. I think if you take Brad Pitt and you write the role right for him, he's that perfect guy, like you get, and it's like, this is it. This is perfect. And it's just amazing. And Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate was, I mean, she's just a world-class beauty. But her as an actress, and I don't know, it's a but there, but and her as an actress is just truly wonderful in this movie. Like, she does not have a huge part, but she is an integral and full part in it, and it's just terrific to see. So, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my number one of the top 10 movies of 2019. So, now let's get on to my, where do I have them? I wrote them down somewhere. So my Golden Globe winners, this is my picks. Okay, so again, this isn't my predictions per se. Some are my predictions, but these are my picks, you know, and that I would like to see win them. Best Picture Drama, The Irishman. I have just told you why it was on my top 10 list, and it's fantastic movie, and I think it deserves the drama award. Best Actress in a Drama, Scarlett Johansson. Here's why. I didn't particularly love A Marriage Story. I definitely think it's a terrible title for that movie. It should be called Divorce Story. Because that's what it is. The whole movie, it is not about their marriage at all. It is about their divorce. And that's okay. I don't mind that movie. But when your movie is called Marriage Story and it has as much to do with marriage as Kramer versus Kramer, it's misleading. My wife, Mrs. Scene Snob, and I have reviewed that on A Marriage Like That podcast. So if you want to go check that out, I think that was a few weeks ago as well. A couple weeks before Christmas anyway. But she does a fantastic job in this movie. And there's one scene where it hits you right in the heart. And, you know, it starts with them in marriage counseling, and it's done. And when I say it starts there, and she's done. She's saying, like, it starts off with her saying, I'm not reading this, I'm done. Fuck you, screw you both, F you both, is what she said, sorry. You know, I'm done, I'm out. And she leaves, and that's where the story starts. So that's why it's more of a divorce story, as I was saying. But there's a scene, she's in Laura Dern's office, who plays her lawyer for the divorce, her divorce lawyer. And I have her down too for winning, and I'll get to that when I get to her. But this is about Scarlett Johansson. She's asked in it. She's smiling. She's happy. She wants, you know, she's very cordial. She's just meeting this divorce lawyer, and Laura Dern's character asks her. She goes, "So how are you doing?" And she just flawlessly loses it. You know, and in such a way that you're like, I believe this woman is losing it. Not losing her mind, but like, she's so heartbroken, devastated, everything. All the weight of all of this heartbreak and all of this love loss and having to be at a divorce lawyer's office has finally gotten to her, to the point where when somebody asks how you're doing, she cannot physically hold in all of this anymore, and it just comes flooding out. She's not losing it because she's a divorce lawyer. She's losing it because she realizes she has made the choice. This is it. This is the end of my marriage. And every emotion she's had about it has flooded out at that moment. And right there, there's scenes in movies that when actors have won awards in the past, you can tell, you can say, you know, it's for the, It's a scene in the movie they won it for. But when they do that scene, like a good example is John Wayne won his Oscar because of of True Grit, his version of True Grit. Now it's not a, I like the movie, but it's not. It's arguably you could say like it's not a terrific movie, and why would he win for that one when he's had so many amazing movies? Well, because of one scene, in my opinion, and that is when he single-handedly puts the reins of the horse in his mouth, and he goes and he kills the four guys. It's an amazing scene, and it's the epitome of who he was in the movies, who John Wayne was in the movies. This larger than life character who can step in. Like Clint Eastwood won for Unforgiven because of that ending scene. The whole movie is great. The whole movie is flawless. But that ending scene, when he completely dispels everything and said, the whole movie is about destroying legends and saying legends aren't real. And in that scene, he dispels all that and he says there are legends out there. There are people who make the legends, who meet that expectation, and it's amazing. So that is why I bring that up, is because that scene with Scarlett Johansson, she has many great scenes, and this is towards the beginning, but that right there should get you an award. That's how I feel. Best actor for a drama, Joaquin Phoenix. Now, I didn't want to say this when I was doing my top 10 list. Joker did not make my top 10. Don't think I don't know that. I did not leave it out accidentally. It is not in my top 10 for 2019. It is in a lot of people's top 10 for 2019, I'm sure. It's probably in a lot of people's top 1 for 2019. It is not in mine. I did not think it was a flawless movie. I think it has a lot of issues. I think a lot of things are done poorly from a comic book fan standpoint and from a filmmaker standpoint. If I separate the two, from the filmmaking standpoint, there are things I did not love about it. I cannot say that it wasn't beautiful. It did look awesome. The setting was fantastic. The setting was right up there with like a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I just think they did that better. So like if I was being asked who set dressed the best or who did costuming the best, I would say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But it was damn fine work in Joker. It was the story I had issues with. But the performances I did not have issues with. Everybody was fantastic in that movie. Joaquin Phoenix, I have him down as best actor for drama. And I think he deserves it. It was hard to get to a point. Now, I don't think that's the best performance of the Joker. But it was a fantastic performance for this movie called Joker. So I think Joaquin Phoenix deserves it. But that's why Joker is not on my top 10. Best picture in a comedy or musical and comedy. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my favorite movie of the year. And I just kind of explained that, so I'm just going to stick to that. Best actress for a musical or comedy, Awkwafina in The Farewell. Touching movie, and she handles it perfectly. She's terrific in that movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch that movie. And then hug your grandmother if she's still alive. Mine, unfortunately, is not. So I do miss her. Best actor in musical or comedy, Eddie Murphy. Now, I've talked about why. So I'll just move on. Best picture for animated, Frozen 2. I did not see Frozen 2. I did see the others. Frozen 2 was a mega hit. So that is more of a prediction than what I think was the best, but I have a feeling if I watch it, I'll probably agree. Best picture foreign, Parasite. Go see it if you haven't seen it, and you will understand why. Parasite is a South Korean movie, and it is, just go see it, and you'll understand why it deserves Best Picture foreign. And if it doesn't win, ooh, pain and glory though. But just go see it. Best Actress Supporting, Laura Dern. I explain why. She plays such a cutthroat lawyer in this. And Ray Liotta played the other side, played Adam Driver's. And so did Alan Alda. There's a very cool scene of like Alan Alda's just this good-hearted guy who wants to make sure everybody gets what they want and everything is fair, and he's kind and such. Whereas Ray Liotta is like, I will get you everything you want, blah blah blah, and you have to treat it like this, and like it's very heartless, and it's almost funny to see that the man goes through that, and that the husband goes through that. Adam Driver's character, of course, and he goes to the cutthroat first, realizes he can't afford him, and then goes to this other guy and realizes this is what I want. I don't want to destroy her. I just want something, a fair deal. I want my son. And now Alan Alda's character in it tells him, like, you're not going to get this. It's not really going to work out this way because that's not how things work and it's not what's best all around. And then so he leaves him and goes to the cutthroat. And the cutthroat, he gets ultimately what Alan Alda's character tells him in the end, and it's just well done. And now the reason I bring them up is because in stark contrast, she goes with Laura Dern, who is the best of the best in Divorce in Los Angeles, I think where it was, and she plays it. And I like Laura Dern a lot, and in this, I hated her. I hated her. I would never want to see this woman in court. I would never want to see this woman anywhere. She's cutthroat. She's heartless. But not at the same time. Like, she's just, when it comes to work, this is who she is. And this is what she's going to do for her clients. So she played it just, I hated her. And that's why I think she deserves the win. Because she made me hate her. I don't hate Laura Dern. I think she's a fantastic actress. Best supporting actor, Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci absolutely deserves it. And I would love to see him get it. Especially considering this is his last movie. The Irishman is probably going to be his last movie. Although with this de-aging makeup, man, give me a My Cousin Vinny too. I love it. Best director, Scorsese. Scorsese deserves it. I mean, it was like the most expensive movie of the year, and one of them, and just well acted. I mean, it's Scorsese. Yeah, if it's not Tarantino, it's Scorsese, and my pick is for Scorsese on this one. Screenplay, The Two Popes. I mean, you're go check it out. It's on Netflix. That's my prediction, but I do think that The Two Popes should get it. Series drama. Now, my choice, because it's the only one I saw that is nominated in the series drama, is The Morning Show. So I'm just going with a pick of the one I watched. I don't want to just jump in and say whatever. Best actress in a drama. I'm sorry, this is in a series, in TV series. Best actress in a TV series drama, Reese Witherspoon from The Morning Show. I think she was the best part of that. I think she was the second best actress and best actor in that. I love Billy Crudup in it. Billy Crudup was my favorite character in it. Thought he did fantastic. But Reese Witherspoon did a really great job in it. Where are we? I have it somewhere, ladies and gentlemen. All right, here we go. Best actor in a drama series, Brian Cox for Succession. Brian Cox, give it to him. Give it to him just for adaptation. I mean, it's on my desk. The man played Robert McKee. Brian Cox is just amazing. I think he just deserves it. He deserves it every year. This is on my list to watch. I will binge it. So I took it as a prediction more than anything because I haven't watched it yet. Best series, musical or comedy, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It looks great. I really can't wait to check it out, but that is kind of where I'm at with that prediction. Best actress in a series, musical or comedy, Christina Applegate for Dead to Me. That was a good show. Just definitely check it out. She does a terrific job in it. Funny, but also like kind of thrillerish at times, and definitely can play erratic really well. Best actor in a musical or comedy series, Paul Rudd. For what was it, Living with Myself? Forgot to write it down, but it was another good one. And I love Paul Rudd, so just give him a Golden Globe. All right. Best limited series, Chernobyl. Chernobyl, hands down. Chernobyl was probably my favorite miniseries of the year. It's just amazing. It's heartbreaking. It's horrible. Everything, but so perfect and well acted and put together. Actress in a limited series. I said Caitlin Dever in Unbelievable, and that is a series where there are a series of rapes going on. And there's serial rapist, I should say, going on. And she's the first when she's not believed by the cops because nobody believes that there's no evidence that like somebody was in her apartment but she did get raped. And what it is the serial rapist is moving from territory to territory, different states, different cities everywhere, until these two detectives put it together and realize there's a series of these stories from women that are being told that it's not believable and they're making it up, but there's something there, and it's really well done. She's so young and she's coming off of Last Man Standing, and she did fantastic in what was it, Detroit. She was fantastic in the Gary Hart movie. I can't remember the name of the movie. She's just been terrific in everything she's done. Booksmart. So I think she deserves it. Actor in a limited series, Jared Harris. No argument here for Chernobyl. He is fantastic. Just kind of finish this up. Best supporting actress, Patricia Arquette for The Act. She plays maniacal well. And this is kind of I hope he gets it. As best supporting actor in a limited series for Succession, Kieran Culkin. Yes, Macaulay Culkin's little brother. See, that's why I hope he gets it. Because he's always called Macaulay Culkin's little brother. And this guy's done some awesome stuff. And he plays such a sociopath on that show. So I feel like he deserves it. So, that being said, those are my picks for Golden Globes. So, I'd like to hear your picks too. And it's coming up this Sunday, so get them in quick. This is my top 25 for the decade. Now, I have scratched some things off and added some things, and I know that there's going to be a lot that people are going to say, well, why isn't this on there? Why isn't that on there? Now, things like Roma, things like Birdman, things like Shape of Water, things like this, that, and the other thing are not on there. And why are they not on there? Yes, they may have won Best Picture or been nominated for Best Picture. And art house guys, I love you. I'm there with you. I watch the movies too. But the rewatchability is like, it's not there. It just isn't there. And they aren't meant to be rewatchable. They're just meant for the prestige and because they invoke a good feeling when you watch them. These movies I chose are ones that kind of, they sit with you. You rewatch them when they're on. And that's why I went with them. Again, no particular order, and really no particular order here. I'm just going down the list as I wrote them. Mad Max Fury Road. Need I say more? Get Out. Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It Follows. Great indie horror movie. Drive. One of my personal favorites and one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. I had that soundtrack when I was living in Los Angeles, and I would drive around Los Angeles listening to it because it was just, it matches the city perfectly. It's hard to explain. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Inception still holds up in my opinion. Toy Story 3, just heart-wrenching movie, and my Mrs. Scene Snob has not watched it yet. So I need to get my wife on that because she hasn't watched 4 either. And then we need to sit down and have a double feature because I keep telling her, and she's like nervous because she heard about the part with like the conveyor belt into the incinerator. And I'm like, you need to watch this movie. It's just fantastic. I almost kind of wish they just left it alone and ended it there because it's beautiful. Avengers, because it brought everything, it brought all of these movies they made so far at that point and brought them together and really showed you we've got something here. This is a big world, and I loved it. Hateful Eight, The Raid, which if you have not seen The Raid, is probably one of the... Ooh, all the Ip Man movies belong on this list. They're not on this list, but they belong on this list. I love those movies. But The Raid is probably the best martial arts movie in the past 20 years. Followed very closely by The Raid 2. If you've not seen The Raid, go watch The Raid. Wolf of Wall Street. A girl walks home alone at midnight. Not midnight, at night, I'm sorry. There's very cool on Shudder. Joe Bob actually showed that on his last drive-in show, and you should watch it with the commentary. It's a lot of fun. John Wick, the first one. Lego Movie. Everything is awesome about that movie. And see what I did there? Whiplash, not one I particularly liked. I did like it. I shouldn't say I liked it. And not one of my particular favorites, but it definitely deserves to be on this list, in my opinion. Ex Machina, another one that wasn't one of my particular favorites, but I really enjoyed it, and it does deserve to be on this list. I could not keep it off this list, in my opinion. Inside Out, probably one of Pixar's best movies, and it just handles so beautifully. Coco, another one. Coco, just, that whole movie, that's probably one of my favorite movies in the past few years. The Force Awakens, for bringing back a new trilogy, but bringing back the old Star Wars we knew, and giving us something new on top of it. It deserves to be on this list. The first chapter. The second chapter, I liked it. It was a good follow-up, but it did not have the weight behind it that the first one did. I don't know why. Well, I do kind of know why. Some poor storytelling in the second one, and I think they made sacrifices with certain things that they didn't need to make sacrifices with. Logan is one of the best comic book movies of all time. Oh, and such a fitting end for Wolverine. The Irishman. Now, I've explained this like twice now, so it definitely deserves to be on the list. Black Klansman, which one of the best movies of the decade, in my opinion. And I think I just talked about in the last episode, it was John David Washington, Denzel's son, and just how he's come into his own, like with Ballers and Black Klansman and so many other projects. And like he's going to be in Tenet, which is Christopher Nolan's next movie. And I'm so excited because this guy is he's not there yet. Not that he's not as talented as his father. But I think once he gets that glory moment that his dad had, of course, tear down the eye, just once he gets that, I think that will seal the deal to say, this is Denzel's gift and saying, like, here's somebody as talented as I am. And I made him, being a father. If my son is ever that talented, I would say that too. I'd be like, I made him. You're welcome, world. But he's just fantastic and amazing. And for the last one, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Everything about that is fantastic, and I cannot wait for a sequel. I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with it. That is my top 25 for the decade. Now, with that being said, we are coming to a close. We are coming close to midnight. I hope you got your hors d'oeuvres ready. I hope if you're at a party, you are not drinking and driving. Uber, please always Uber. Never want to hurt yourselves or anybody else. If you're at home tonight, watch a good movie, hang out, then watch the ball drop. Cuddle up with somebody you love. If you don't have somebody with you, I've been there many, many times. And I can understand how frustrating and sad it is. I'm there with you. I'm counting down with you. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. I love you. So, with that, you can count that down with you at the end at midnight if you'd like. But I just want to say, I hope it is a terrific year. I know a lot of things happened in 2019 that had us down, but we had a lot of things that happened that were great. And I hope great things come. And I hope the world goes into a direction that we all want to see it go, with more love. So, with that being said, if you're happy this year, if you're excited for this new year, if you are sad on this New Year's Eve, stick with it. It's gonna be so amazing, and we're going into a new year polished and clean, and just grab it by the horns and just go to town, and just take the year by storm. So, with that being said, Happy New Year to all of you. I love you. Remember to follow us at the Scene Snob. I would love to see pictures of what everybody's doing. Hit us up, everything else. Let me know what you think with comments and or messages, or whatever. If you have any special requests for anything, reviews, blah, 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 let me know. That being said, I am going to be with my Mrs. Scene Snob and Scene Snob Juniors and just enjoy this wonderful new year. Take care, everybody. I love you again.